we have to help them. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. If I just have enough courage to spread my wings, I can fly. I tell you tonight, I can fly. Yeah, I can fly. Yeah, if I just have enough courage. Now as a preacher, now I can talk to you. Now I feel comfortable. Thank you for indulging. But there is a word that I want to bring to you tonight and a message that I think is very appropriate. And again, it's rise and shine. And I want to start by painting a picture. The basis of rise and shine. I looked it up on the internet, and you can find many things there now. Rise and shine had two meanings that I found. Rise and shine means get out of bed and go to work. So if it means get out of bed and go to work, that means that somebody wasn't up already. And it means get to work, that means not only do you have to rise, but you have to actually do something. So rise and shine. I think that there's a place there. There's another meaning of rise and shine. There is an origin that this word has come from. The early use of rise and shine in print are references to the sun as an example from a Maryland paper, The Torchlight and Public Adversaries. And that was in 1824. It talked about courage, a child of Washington. Through the fate disastrous steams, we have seen the setting sun rise and shine with bright beams. In both instances, rise and shine was following a process of some type of darkness. And I believe that we don't have to look very far to see that our communities and our nation and our world has some challenges. Do you agree with that? All you have to do is turn on the news and you see that many of our boys and girls are falling by the wayside because they don't have some of the guidance and the direction that they so desperately are crying out for in their own way. I've come to learn even as an educator when I was educating young people. Many times I would see young people, they would act up and they would talk back to their teacher and they would do things that were very much out of order. But I learned through experience that many times, those young boys and girls, that was nothing more than a cry for help. That, hey, I need attention. Notice me over here. They could not get the attention and the excel that they would normally would like to receive through their academics because they had challenges at home and they had other challenges and issues going on that they did not ask for. So I found and I learned how to modify my approach even in the educational setting. So instead of reaching out and saying, boy, stop this, boy, stop that, girl, stop that, you know you're better than that. I've learned how to cultivate that. And I think what the world needs right now is a little bit more patience and understanding and guidance. And hopefully that can be a part of what we do, even more so. Because we're here now. But I do think that this word is even for us because there's so many boys and girls, young men and women, that will never realize their potential. Very talented young men and women, if we don't do what we can to rise and shine. Look at your neighbor and open your mouth as you're not talking to me and say, rise and shine. Come on, look at somebody else and say, rise and shine. Yeah, you ought to do it like your mama told you to do it. You know, rise and shine. You remember that song, Rise and Shine, Give God the Glory? But all of those songs and those illustrations were nothing more than a call to action. In some of my work, I realized that for every young boy and girl we have, there is multiple 10s, 20s, 30s of boys and girls that are just like our boys and girls in Africa, I mean not in Africa, but in India and China. These are the two fastest growing countries in the world. And I think it's incumbent upon us to realize and remind ourselves from time to time that we are in a battle. One of the things that I saw that was very intriguing to me and very telling is that when I went over there and I talked to some of those students, some of the students did not have an understanding like some of our students have. Over there, if you ask them anything about what the book says, they can tell you immediately. They understand the book from beginning to end, but some of the critical thinking skills that come along with what's in that book, they don't have. Whereas in our society, even though our educational system many times isn't what it needs to be, I found that one of the things that we have done a pretty good job on, at least trying to do, is that we've tried to help our boys and girls know what to do with information that you have, which is problem solving, as many of you know. But I tell you one thing, they're catching up and they're realizing. So the question is, not only what we're going to do with our boys and girls that are not finishing school, what are we even going to do with our boys and girls that are finishing school, but they're not taking it seriously? You all, I want to say, even as an educator, that we have a challenge on our hand. And we need to do much more of what we're doing tonight, raising funds to help boys and girls realize the future that they can, because they're going to be in the fight of their life. We need to be in the business of rising and shining. So, during this talk, I want to share with you 2 quick points, one on each of these. Rise and then shine. And then we will be finished for the night. When we look around, I want to read to you a couple of things that I saw in looking and doing a little research. Did you know, from a standout of dropouts, half of our black and Hispanic students failed to graduate with their class? This should be an alarming rate for us. Only 2 out of 10 students are prepared for college after graduation. Dropouts are 10 times more likely to go to jail than those who graduate from college. And the reason why we're here tonight is because of a program called Go to High School, Go to College. That is a major program of Alpha Phi Alpha. And I think it should be on all of our radar screens that we need to make sure that not only we make sure that our boys and girls go to high school, that we must make sure that they go to college. Because when I was coming up, my mother and father were blessed to have the masters and 30 above, and that was in many days equivalent to a doctorate degree. But as we all know now, the more education, the better. And we can't stop. We have to do everything we can to push our boys and girls to make sure that they maximize their potential. We need to stand. So rise. Stand to be present and accounted for. Stand. There are 2 examples that come to my mind. When I was over in China, I got a chance to go to one of their famous places. And it was the Tiananmen Square. Very beautiful place. Across from the Tiananmen Square, there is their equivalent to Congress. And most of you all know the story. That there was a young man that had some strong courage and conviction and wanted his country to enjoy some of the freedom that we have. He was one individual. And when there was a mass group of people in this big, huge square, that is the most popular square in the country of China, they sent tanks to squash what was going on. And this young man that had enough courage laid out on the floor when the tanks came. And those tanks stopped